Marvel's Spider-Man Maximum Venom is finally back, and its second episode has aired. And I have to admit, there was a lot of surprises in this episode. Mostly because there wasn't really much Maximum Venom stuff going on here. Because, there wasn't really anything with the symbiotes until the very end of the episode. And because this season is shortened, and it's only 6 episodes, technically 12 episodes, because, there's 2 parts, 2 episodes on each week. When shows do that and they shorten their seasons like that, they usually do it so that there's no filler episodes, so that, every episode is just main story driven, and is just focusing on, the main villain and, the main focus, the main plot of the story. But this episode really had nothing to do with the symbiotes until the end, really. And that's why this episode was so surprising. There was really no symbiote stuff going on. But I still loved it, because there's a lot of great stuff going on here. And a lot of characters in this episode I didn't expect. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it here. So, we start off the episode with Peter and Miles. They're doing a team up, of course, taking down some bank robbers. And Peter's basically just catching up Miles on what's been going on. So apparently Max has now been temporarily suspended from Horizon Labs. Or Horizon High. And yeah, so that's new. Last episode we knew that he was under investigation, but apparently he's been temporarily suspended. But then Peter realizes he's late because Aunt May wanted him to meet his new neighbor. And it's actually Mary Jane, so that was really cool seeing her in this episode. But when he first gets back to the house, he realizes that Groot is there, baby Groot, and he's got some kind of message for him. And he's got, Star-Lord's awesome mixtape and the headphones and everything, so he hands it to Peter. But then the whole thing is messed up, because, it's from the 70s, so of course it's not going to work that well. But then Peter goes and he meets MJ, Mary Jane, and this is really classic MJ. I really love this version of her. Of course, she said, where's the fire, Tiger? Anytime Mary Jane shows up, she's got to say something, Tiger, to Peter. So that was nice seeing that. And then he completely embarrasses himself in front of her, but that's cool. But then Peter needs to figure out what Groot is saying, what his message is. So then he goes to see Tony Stark, but turns out Tony Stark isn't there at Avengers Tower. It's actually Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. And, well, she doesn't know how to translate Groot either, so she calls, the Space Administration, and then they show up, but turns out they're actually A.I.M agents. So now Ironheart and Spider-Man and Miles Morales have to team up to take down A.I.M, and they do. But while all of that is going on, Peter tells Groot to go play hide and seek so that he's away from the danger. And then, of course, he gets into a little trouble. He goes and he finds an Iron Man armor inside of Avengers Tower. He basically breaks it. And then all that's left standing is, one boot. And, of course, that's the perfect size for baby Groot or toddler Groot. And so then he jumps in and then he just, flies away. Because, yeah. So that happened. And then after they defeat A.I.M, they need to find Groot again because, they kind of can't translate his message if they don't even have him. But they also find the person that they're trying to get to translate Groot's message, and that is Doctor Strange. So Miles Morales goes off to get him. He finds him, and then later they meet up with Peter and Riri because they find him in the park where he's actually been captured by A.I.M, but then they save him, but then Baron Mordo shows up because he's actually working with A.I.M, and then he captures all of them basically until Miles shows up with Doctor Strange, and then there's this whole big fight because Mordo almost gets Groot, but then Doctor Strange is like, no, you go home. So then he takes Groot back and pretty much saves him. But then something really unexpected happens. Mordo opens this portal and then sends both Miles and Doctor Strange through that portal. And then they just end up somewhere else. And we don't know where that is until later in the episode, and I'm still not completely sure where it is, but it's some other dimension. And by the way, it was really cool seeing Doctor Strange in this episode. That was one of the surprises that I didn't expect to see him in this. But then, so after they get stuck in the other dimension, Peter and Riri go to this island because that's where they located Groot, and turns out it's basically like an A.I.M island, so then they almost get captured until the Hulk shows up. That's right, the Hulk, the coolest superhero ever. Turns out it's not Bruce Banner. No, it's Amadeus Cho. And I went over this in my sneak peek breakdown that I did a couple days ago. So, yeah, Bruce Banner Hulk is not in this. It's Amadeus Cho Hulk. And he's a part of this Avengers internship program that's going on with Riri Williams, Ironheart as well. So then they team up to, go capture or save Groot. But then, meanwhile, inside of the Mirrorverse thing where Miles and Strange are, turns out it's like a completely backwards world, so everything is completely backwards. And yeah, it turns out the Mirrorverse is shrinking. So they need to find a way out, and quick. So then they end up escaping from the Mirrorverse, and then we see them show up later. Meanwhile, the Scientist Supreme is working with Baron Mordo and leading A.I.M, and they're trying to extract some kind of energy from Groot, and then that is when Hulk, Amadeus Cho, Ironheart, and Spider-Man, they get into the facility of the A.I.M people, and they need to put on some disguises, because, they can't just walk in there and be like, hey, we want Groot. And, yeah, that's just not going to work. So they put on A.I.M suits, except Hulk, because, they won't fit. And then there's this huge battle, and then Miles and Doctor Strange show up. But then Baron Mordo has apparently succeeded now. So this is bad news, because then he creates these basically magic Groots, evil magic Groots. He calls them wood golems, but I'm just going to call them evil magic Groots, because that just honestly sounds cooler. So yeah, we got some evil magic Groots on our hands. So we got baby Groot, and then we got basically a bunch of adult Groots that are evil and on fire. So, but the fire's green, so it's even cooler. So yeah, that's pretty nice there. But then, of course, there's the huge battle. The Scientist Supreme, she puts on her mask. Looks cool, of course. For some reason, she all of a sudden gets a cape, too. I don't know what's going on there. But then they're all defeated. Mordo is defeated. And then, at the end of the day, Mordo and A.I.M, I assume the Scientist Supreme, too, are captured. And then they're taken back to the Avengers Tower, where they're held in some kind of prison or facility there, because I assume in the Avengers Tower they have probably almost like a dungeon type thing going on, where they can just hold villains until they can go to prison or something. And we also find out that the Avengers are actually on a space mission right now, so that's why none of the other Avengers are there on Earth, and that's why we don't have like the real Tony Stark Iron Man there. And that's why the closest we have to him is just not Tony, which is Riri's, AI system in her helmet, which has the same voice as Tony. It's just not Tony, literally named not Tony. So I thought that was pretty funny, actually. But now that everybody has been defeated, and now they can get back to their, main goal of the episode, which was to figure out Groot's message, keep him safe, and figure out what's going on with Star-Lord, because he had this message for Spider-Man. So Doctor Strange uses his powers, and he decodes the message. So basically, we see Star-Lord in this new animation, because so far, the Guardians of the Galaxy series was in the old animation, but then this new Spider-Man show came out, and it was the rebooted animation. Yeah, that's a lot to get into, so I'm just gonna leave it there. But yeah, so we see Star-Lord, and he's giving us this message, and he's like, "I've got some urgent news. You need to know this within the first 24 hours or something." And yeah, so we find out that a symbiote war is happening, basically, or that a symbiote army is coming. And then just at the end of the message, Star-Lord Peter Quill gets taken over by a symbiote. So I'm not sure if we're going to see him as a symbiote in one of the future episodes, because from the promo art and sneak peeks and previews that we've seen of the symbiote heroes, we've seen a bunch of them, but we haven't seen Star-Lord or any of the Guardians of the Galaxy, actually, other than Baby Groot. Although, if you look at this end team that we have here at the end of the episode, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Ironheart, Hulk, and Doctor Strange, literally all of them get taken over by symbiotes because, at least that's what we've seen in the promo art. So I'm not sure if that's going to be like they're going to be taken over there and they're going to be evil, except maybe Spider-Man, or maybe they'll be able to have the symbiotes and still fight for good, I guess. I don't know what's going on there, but I think it would be really cool to see Star-Lord as a symbiote, because I don't think we've seen anything like that before. Also, some of the other Guardians would be pretty cool. I think especially Rocket would be really cool to see as a symbiote. But let me know in the comments, what other hero do you want to see as a symbiote that we don't know about being a symbiote in this episode, or this crossover yet? So yeah, that's pretty much where the episode ends. So we know the symbiote war is coming. No idea what the next episode is about, but I will keep you updated. Of course, we do have to wait a month to figure that out, because what really sucks is that we're only getting one episode a month. So, see you in a month. Well, actually, probably less, because we'll have sneak peeks by then, probably a couple days, maybe a week before the new episode. We'll probably have a synopsis sometime soon. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you updated, so that's why you should go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button. And yeah, just let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And stay tuned so I can keep you updated on everything that goes on with Spider-Man Maximum Venom and everything happening in the Marvel life.